Ever get that feeling, like you're just itching to explore a whole new world, to encounter something truly alien?
Well, get ready, because that's exactly what we're diving into today.
These excerpts you've sent in this alien encounter story, it's got me hooked already. So much to unpack.
It really does make you think, what if we stumbled upon an alien civilization tomorrow? How would we even begin to communicate?
Right. Like, forget just saying hello. How do you bridge the gap between entirely different species,
Yeah.
different understandings of, well, everything?
And that's where this story gets really interesting, wouldn't you say? It's not just about spaceships and lasers, it's about the human element.
Exactly. Like, take Captain Alex, for instance. The guy's clearly got a plan for everything, a real strategist.
Always two steps ahead, that one. But there's this other side to him, too, a kind of quiet hopefulness that shines through in the excerpts.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like, he's not just prepared for the worst. He genuinely wants to find a way to make this first contact thing work. It's a pretty refreshing take, honestly.
It is. And speaking of refreshing, we've got Karen, our resident tech whiz. She'd probably try to dismantle an alien spacecraft before anyone could stop her.
Oh, absolutely. The woman's practically vibrating with excitement the second they lay eyes on that alien tech. I can just imagine her now, toolbox in hand, itching to get her hands dirty. Do you think she ever sleeps?
I doubt it. But that insatiable curiosity, that drive to understand, that's what makes her such a compelling character, don't you think?
Totally. And it's not just about the mechanics of it all either. She seems to grasp that technology is more than just nuts and bolts. It's a reflection of a whole culture, a way of thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's Zara, our resident astrophysicist. Talk about infectious enthusiasm. It's like every new discovery is a supernova explosion in her brain.
Oh, for sure. If scientific curiosity was an element, she'd be like the embodiment of it. But it's more than just textbook knowledge with her, right? She gets the bigger picture, the awe-inspiring wonder of the universe.
Exactly. She reminds us that science is, at its core, driven by that same sense of wonder, that same desire to unravel the mysteries of the cosmos.
And of course, we can't forget Mark, our cautious medical officer. Someone's got to be the voice of reason in all this excitement, right?
Absolutely. He's the one reminding everyone of the risks, the potential dangers lurking in the unknown.
He's like the designated worrier, but in a good way, right? Someone's got to keep their head when everyone else is losing theirs.
Exactly. So we've got our intrepid crew, each with their quirks and complexities, touching down on this uncharted world. But it's in chapter 3 that things take a decidedly unexpected turn, because that, my friend, is where we finally encounter Zeno. Let me tell you, Zeno's entrance. It's not your typical alien encounter, that's for sure.
Right. No dramatic pronouncements or anything like that. More like a quiet arrival.
Exactly. And his presence, it's described more as this aura of wisdom than any kind of imposing physicality, really makes you rethink those classic alien tropes.
It's like he's tapped into something bigger,
Yeah.
some deeper understanding of the universe. No wonder the crew's a bit speechless at first.
Well, who wouldn't be? I mean, here they are, face to face with an intelligence that operates on an entirely different level. And that's where the communication breakdown gets really interesting, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And that's where Karen and her trusty translator come in. Talk about a game changer.
It really is an ingenious plot device, isn't it? Underscores that very human need to connect, even when faced with the seemingly incomprehensible.
I mean, she cracks the code, like, overnight. That's some next-level linguistic acrobatics right there.
Oh, absolutely. But it also begs the question, is translation enough? Can we truly understand another species if we're just relying on words?
Yeah, it's, as I say, communication's more than just vocabulary, right? It's about shared meaning, understanding those unspoken nuances, which, let's be honest, can be tricky even when you're dealing with your own family.
Oh, tell me about it. But back to the story. Just when we think we're starting to wrap our heads around this whole first contact thing, bam, that cliffhanger at the end of chapter 4. The gateway.
Hold up. Are we talking interdimensional travel here? Because I gotta say, my mind is officially blown.
And that's the beauty of a good cliffhanger, isn't it? It leaves you wanting more, yearning to peek behind the curtain and see what mysteries lie beyond.
It's like the story saying, hey, you thought things were getting interesting. Buckle up, because we're just getting started.
Precisely. But before we take that leap ourselves, I think it's worth taking a moment to appreciate how this alien encounter story subverts our expectations of a typical first contact scenario.
It's true. No laser beams, no hostile takeovers. Instead, it's this refreshing blend of caution, optimism, even a touch of humor at times.
Exactly. It really highlights the potential for something different, something more nuanced than the usual us versus them narrative. And it makes you wonder, if we ever did encounter an alien species, what kind of relationship could we build? What could we learn from each other?
Okay, so that gateway, big reveal time. What's on the other side?
Well, let's just say Zara's in her element. Chapters 5 and 6. Pure knowledge download.
I bet. It's like she's plugged directly into, well, an alien supercomputer or something. Dark matter propulsion, multiverses. The
Yeah.
story really goes there.
It does. And what's fascinating is how it ties those big, almost unthinkable concepts back to things we grapple with right here, right now.
Right, right. It's like that drive to explore, to push the boundaries of what we know. That's universal.
Exactly. And speaking of universal, we can't forget about that living planet reveal. I mean, talk about awe-inspiring.
Seriously. This interconnected web of life, this energy flowing through everything, it's beautiful, but it also makes that whole supernova threat hit even harder.
Oh, absolutely. Suddenly, it's not just about two species encountering each other. It's about survival, plain and simple.
And that's where the story takes another turn, right? Because when faced with this shared crisis, humans and aliens, they actually have to work together.
They do, and that's where the story's optimism shines through, I think. Because despite their differences, they find a way to collaborate, to pool their knowledge and build something incredible.
That planetary shield. Talk about ingenuity. It's like a giant cosmic testament to what's possible when we set aside our differences and, actually focus on a common goal.
And that sense of shared purpose, it carries through to the very end. Building a new home, facing an uncertain future together. There's a real beauty in that, don't you think?
Absolutely. But then just when you think everything's wrapped up, that final message from Earth, talk about a gut punch.
It is. A reminder that even as we venture out into the cosmos, we're still tethered to our past, to the consequences of our actions.
It's like the story's saying, exploration's one thing, but responsibility, that's a whole other frontier.
It is. And that, I think, is a perfect note to end on. So to our listeners, what resonated with you? What did Alien Encounter make you think about? What would you hope to find out there in the vast expanse of space?